All right, so Pap, let's take a segment. There's, obviously, relitigating how we got here is not necessarily the most productive thing to do, but this is part of the process.
This is what Sam. This has
got to be. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Go.
Yeah, this is what I'm getting the most emails on. I mean, I'm getting the focus is. I mean, and I don't think this is a good focus. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it is so it doesn't happen again. I think it's always going to happen because you got human beings involved.
Right. But
this is what we're getting the most traffic on. I don't know whether you are with Majority Report, but we are certainly. And, this thing, as we talked about, the blame game, okay, what does it accomplish? Well, I guess if you're looking at it in the most positive sense, you're looking at it, there is a need to do that. So you identify the problems, you address the problem, and then you have hope of fixing the problem, okay? So the Democratic Party, my bet, is that they won't learn anything unless we address what they did. Okay, what did they do? I mean, it's inescapable what the Wall Street Democratic bubble heads did to this country, and that is it's the old nepotism deal. I mean, it's just
Let me push back just a little bit because I do think it's important to do this so that we get a sense of how we got here, how we go forward. I think there's lessons to be learned, but I am not one who subscribes to the idea that Debbie Wasserman Schultz had the ability to, or anybody affiliated with the DNC had the ability to throw the election to Hillary Clinton. Now, with that said, in June of 2015, I was on MSNBC arguing that the fix was clearly in. You'll remember it was Martin O'Malley who was saying that the debate schedule was really geared towards helping Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders said it, but he didn't say it nearly as strongly as Martin O'Malley did. And here's the fact, okay? The fact is that the reason why Bernie Sanders lost the primary, and we're going over this just so that we can do this for one last time. And, this is part of the grieving process. Bernie Sanders lost the primary for one reason and one reason only. And that is because Bernie Sanders did not think he could win. And he did not think he could win. And what that led him to do was to get into the race 1 year after he should have gotten into the race if he thought he could win. And I don't hold that against him. I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. I don't know that in January of 2014 that I would have thought that Bernie Sanders could have won necessarily. But that's where he needed to enter in there. I know for a fact that he didn't start even believing to himself enough to hire the staff that he needed to run a campaign until way too late, months after it was too late.
But listen, there's another part of that story, Sam. The other part is once he realized what the field was, once he said, this is it, and he looked across the field, and you know what he saw? He saw the same old thing. He saw the same old wet dogs from Washington, D.C. that have no kinship whatsoever with Rust Belt America. They brought us NAFTA and CAFTA. With the South, absolute disconnect from the South. With unions, no real kinship with unions. Do you realize what a difficult time Trumpka had? When he was trying to rally unions. I saw a video one time where it was him talking about how important Hillary is. 10 people in the room got up and left because we would not admit what Bernie saw. Okay, and so Bernie sees it late, maybe, Sam, and he says, "Okay, let me take a shot at it." And then they try to dismantle Bernie every single day.
Well, but there was but the fact is that if Bernie had gotten the question from Donna Brazile that when you're in the Michigan debate, someone's going to bring up something about Flint, that would not have changed the outcome of anything.
I agree.
I mean,
I agree.
The bottom line is that he needed to be in it earlier to win. That is the bottom line. All the stuff, it doesn't matter. You could take away the DNC or you could put the DNC and double what they did. The only difference is that he was not out there doing, building these relationships, getting to unions early on and saying, I'm going to be a contender. I'm going to be in this. I'm going to be in it to win it. Look, This is the reality, and it stinks
okay,
for all of us.
but listen,
because I, for one, had always said throughout the primary that Bernie Sanders matched up better with Donald Trump. Now,
everybody knew that. The DNC knew that. The numbers were clear. Look, why did this woman lose? She's been running for president since she was 12 years old, Sam. She's been running for president since she was 12 years old. She goes from being a feminist to a political operative in the D.C. bubble, and everybody saw it. You know, she'd take the stage and they go, oh, my God, what is it?
Well, but the only people who didn't see it were, unfortunately, the majority of Democratic voters. And that is what ultimately was the difference.
Yeah, the Hillary bots that write every time you talk to say anything about it.
But like you say, like how many of these people are reading, Salon.com? And the bottom line is Bernie Sanders got into the race late, and it was all of our misfortune. Had Elizabeth Warren gotten into the race, I mean, do you think there's anybody out there this week who's looking into the mirror and having regret more than Elizabeth Warren?
Oh, I know.
Because,
Joe Biden, even, my God, I mean, you could have cleaned him up. And
I think if Joe Biden had gotten in the race, Bernie Sanders might have had a chance to win.
It was anybody. It was anybody but Clinton. That was the problem, and everybody knew it going into it. They ignored it, and you, as I said, you had
except for the candidates that we needed to run.
Yeah,
they were the only people. Like Joe Biden could have run.
Okay, but listen, why is it that we had the Huffington Post, we had Media Matters, we had Center for American Progress? These are people we have on our show all the time. I have a huge respect for them. Why is it they went blind to what everybody that really had been following this for so long was trying to say? And that is, don't take a chance just because it's a Clinton. Go in there with somebody that's a fresh face, that doesn't have the baggage, that Sam, I don't know if you know this or not, but down in the South, I don't know if it was taking place anywhere else in the country, but down in the South, the school kids would come home and they would say, Mom, Dad, is it true that Hillary Clinton wants to kill people, is killing people, has killed? Have you heard this?
Oh, well, I mean, I listen to right-wing media all the time.
This has
been going on since the 80s.
TheRingOfFire.com. Honest, hard-hitting news free from corporate influence. Your destination for progressive news, commentary, and interviews. TheRingOfFire.com.